I mean, we've been talking about 64 guys. I mean, there's very rarely do we miss more than one or two relevant names.
Yeah.
Puka Nakoa really fucked us on our
Yeah, that was the
record.
big one. That was a huge one.
Yeah.
Then I
But
fucked it by trading him away.
I mean,
So did you.
I picked him up on waivers, so I'll say I was first to strike. But then I traded him for a doggy bag of poo poo with Desmond Ritter, and then you flipped him for a little hotter package than that, I'd say. But
Yeah, but even then, I probably should have just kept him.
yeah, you mean I don't do trades while driving anymore.
I took a Lisa on your heart. I took a Lisa on your heart. Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we're on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
Man, it is going swell.
Good.
Here we are. I mean, it's been a nice couple, like month and a half of doing March
Prospect
Madness. Now
talk.
it's April Sadness because it's coming to an end. Uh, so I don't know, man. I'm doing well. It's been a frantic week, but I got probably a more frantic week coming my way, and I'm loving it. Spring is in the air, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I mean, we're getting close to the end of the tournament. It's been fun. We're getting close to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
WrestleMania's this weekend. All kinds of stuff going on. So I'm pretty excited. Cannot complain myself.
Yeah, this draft is going to be wild, man. I mean, this is
It'll
our
be
last,
interesting.
probably one of our last conversations before it tips off. And, dude, I have no clue. There's so many high level
Hmm.
prospects that I feel like in general, this is going to be one of the bigger kind of surprising, sequences as far as, drafted players go. And I'm pretty pumped to see how it goes, how it lands.
Yeah, I feel like this is the draft I've felt the least sure about going in, at least for some of it. I mean, every draft has some surprises and everything, but this one seems once you get after like three and four, it seems like it's very up in the air about what's going to happen. So, but we are not quite there yet. We have two more episodes of
Right.
the 2025 Rough Draft Research March Madness Rookie Dynasty Bracket. If you needed a long title for it, there it is.
Got you.
So many words. So we are going to hit you with the Sweet 16 today. And then coming out on Tuesday, right before the draft, is going to be the Elite Eight down to the winner of the tournament. We are doubling up these episodes. My friend here is going to our nation's capital.
Yes.
So that is going to be a fun trip for him. So we're going to get these episodes knocked out and have all of our takes before the draft. So without further ado, I think we can just go ahead and get started in the round of Sweet 16. So we'll head over where we always start in the Western bracket with our number one seed, Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise State, going up against the number five seed, quarterback out of Colorado, Shedeur Sanders. And I don't feel like this one's much of a competition.
No, I toyed around with texting you and being like, hey, should we just put, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, and Cam Scatterbu in instead of these three quarterbacks? Um, but alas, the process is the process. You can't pull out at the end.
You cannot.
But it's gonna be real sad Sweet 16 for some of these QBs, and it all starts here with Shedeur going way down
Yeah, for
in this
sure.
matchup.
I think there's a few. I mean, that's the danger of the bracket is some of these guys go up against people that they can't beat, so they end up leaving early, and then some of these guys keep going, even though I definitely think they should leave earlier. But going into Shedeur a little bit, he's a polarizing figure in this draft. Some don't even see him as a first round talent. Some think he should be taken in the top 5. It
Yeah.
really just depends on who you talk to. I'd say the former group is probably the bigger of the two, or it's somewhere in the middle where they think he's like a mid-round first. Um, I think he's a first round pick, especially in this draft. Obviously, I don't think it's a question that he's gonna get drafted in the first round, but I still think he's got talent, man. He plays super well on time. It's almost like he had a NFL Hall of Famer dad raising him to play
Yeah,
quarterback his whole life.
for sure.
You can see that. Like he makes good decisions. He typically gets the ball where it needs to go and where it's supposed to go. I mean, he has 134 to 27 touchdown to interception ratio. So he doesn't really turn the ball over that often. He's fairly accurate. I do think he's a tad inconsistent. Not so much as like when I was dogging on Quinn Ewers, where the ball is like really accurate and then all of a sudden it's way off. His are more like I don't know. It's either just a little too short, a little too high, but sometimes the guy still catches the ball. So he's a little inconsistent there. But I think like his real power is just he's tough as nails. Like he takes a lot of hits and he still delivers the ball. And he's not afraid to step up into the pocket and take hits, which you can say of that about a few of these quarterbacks actually. I
Right.
don't know how they're just
Kind
breeding
of
that
tough.
out of QBs this lately, but I mean, most of his highlights are him delivering a great throw while taking a shot. And I mean, that speaks to the poor offensive line in Colorado, but also like just to him. I mean, he had 150 sacks in 4 seasons, which is quite a bit. Um, and you can chalk it up to the offensive line for the most part, but I do think he holds on to the ball a little long and tries to create after the snap. Um, he's not a plus athlete, so he'll like scramble around and he's creating to throw rather than scramble. I mean, like against North Dakota State, he scrambled to the I think it was to the left after the snap, and he kind of like started to run almost as if he was going to go past the line of scrimmage, and he just like stopped, had time to reset his whole body and deliver a great throw over the middle. Sometimes that doesn't work out though. Sometimes it's great. On that against OSU, right after a super long deep throw, he took 3 sacks in a row and like knocked them into like deep field goal range. So it's just kind of this, I don't know, give and take with him. I don't think his arm strength is really there. He can fling it around like on shorter yardage. And when I mean shorter, I mean like inside of 20 yards. I don't mean like 5. But once he's pushing it down the field, I feel like his balls kind of lose some juice. Um, Phrasing. But
Been there.
I think he's gonna intrigue a team that's like a fan of a traditional pocket passer who's not gonna cost you the game. And if he goes in the right system, I think he'll thrive well. I know it's easy to say this, but somewhere like the Rams or the Niners, something like that, I think he's gonna have a decent shot to do well. I don't know. I don't know if either of those teams would be in on him with what they have at quarterback, but just like a a a system where you're getting guys open for the quarterback and you just want them to make the right throws because he can do that. Um, I don't think he'll go there. It seems like it's heating up that he might go to the Saints, which I think is a little scary. I don't know. I mean, Kellen Moore is like a big question mark, but whatever. We don't need to project that far. What do you think about Sanders?
I think you nailed it. I mean, he's definitely inconsistent, like you're saying. Like he sometimes struggles to put the ball in the right place. It's like sometimes just out of reach for his wide receivers, but then other times he laces stuff perfectly for big plays. I do think he has a good feel for timing, good sense of urgency when things are collapsing on him. For the most part, he knows how to give the wide receivers like another couple seconds on their routes, like you're saying, scrambling for the pass. Um, but I think the one thing you cannot say about him is he is not a first read guy.
Mhm.
He keeps his eyes downfield and continuously surveys. He doesn't have the arm talent to fully capitalize on that, like you would want, a superstar quarterback. He's no Joe Burrow whatsoever type player, but
Yeah.
he's got a bit of the mind for it. It's just the talent is lacking. but he's been groomed for this. I think that my favorite trait about him, or the most impressive, is his completion percentage of 73.4.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big time number. Led all of the guys in this class, um, that were taking a considerable amount of dropbacks. Who's right there above Will Howard, which we all love Will Howard still, right?
Yes.
Nope. But I think it'd be kind of silly for a team not to take a chance on him in the top 10 of this
Yeah.
draft, top five of this draft. If you think about like your Trey Lances and whatever, like there's countless kind of duds.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, of course. It's kind of, I mean, it's silly considering the talent at this position being so low. Like you can't just wait. If you're an
Yeah.
NFL franchise, the league's not built to wait if you need a quarterback. So we'll see what ends up happening here. Do you think he would fit in nicely in Tennessee? So
Yeah. Well, that ship seems to have sailed, but we'll get into that a little bit later on the Tennessee front. But yeah, so Ashton Jeanty moving on to the Elite Eight, and Shedeur Sanders making it farther than I would have thought down at the Sweet 16, however. So our final matchup of the Western bracket for the Sweet 16 is that sound coming through? I have my window open. Are you
no.
hearing? Okay, perfect. Good. Good, good, good. Sorry, I'm a downtown boy now. So there's some like cars and stuff that I can hear, and I just want to make sure they weren't coming over on the audio.
Well, I'm doing a load of laundry and my static air filter is going bonkers 'cause it sounds like my wife just turned on the AC for the first time in 2 months. So if you got ambient noise, I got ambient noise, man. So
I
that's what we're
I
here
don't
for.
hear anything. Tell you what, you have a Blue Yeti, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Blue Yeti. What a product.
Yeah, plug it,
We're
dude.
not
Sponsor us. Send
we're
us
not
two
sponsored,
cheeseburgers
but
and we'll work for you for life.
all right, we're getting into our last matchup of the Western bracket for the Sweet 16. Number 3, wide receiver out of Arizona, Tetairoa McMillian, going up against the 2 seed wide receiver out of Colorado, Travis Hunter. This was an incredibly difficult matchup for me. How do you feel about this one?
I don't know why. I don't know what my problem with Travis Hunter is.
Hmm.
But I'm dogging him big time, dude. I
Okay.
mean, I want to go T-Mac here. I really
Okay.
do. And we don't have to, but that's
That's
where I stand.
that's where I went. I think it's for
Okay.
different reasons than you. I love both these players a lot, actually.
Love.
But for me, and I'll get into my Travis Hunter stuff later, I'll kind of let you take the lead on this one. But for me, it really, really just came down to the question mark of what Travis Hunter is going to be and where he's going to play. And to me, it's the dual positions, incredibly helpful for an NFL team, incredibly scary for pure fantasy reasons. Like fewer reps at wide receiver potentially, higher chance of injury with being on the field, both sides of the field. But I do think we could all be kicking ourselves for passing on Travis Hunter in the early first round. And to me, genuinely, if he gets the dual position for like an IDP league where you could throw him in on that defensive back spot, but he plays wide receiver, that's almost worthy of the 1-1 potentially, in my opinion. But I'll let you get into him, see where you're at.
Oh yeah, that was actually going to be my first comment is that he has to be the 1-1 in an IDP.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. Or, maybe let him slip to the 1-7 or the 1-8. Obviously with this running back class, you don't want to skip Ashton Jeanty and
Yeah.
a bunch of other running backs. Obviously, you take T-Mac over him,
Hmm.
let him slide. But yeah, IDP leagues, definitely hot stuff here. But he was fun, man. It was cool to watch him. He really wanted to like stop and catch the ball and
Hmm.
then get the wiggle going from there. He was really cute with his route running and changing directions. It was like watching a guy drive the lane, you know what I mean? It was fun. I mean, he was kind of all over the place. I keep watching it and I'm like, dude, this guy runs routes like a cornerback, you know,
Uh-huh.
not like a wide receiver necessarily. It's really just for me, it's obvious, you know, that he has a great skill set as a wide
Mhm.
receiver, definitely on the deep ball, the speed and the athleticism just in your face big time. But I just think I think he'd be better in the NFL as a corner,
Yeah.
like purely. And I do think he'll get the dual position. He seems to really be pushing that as
Mhm.
a mandatory thing, which, you know, first couple seasons, why not? You know, it's you can see how it goes as he ages into the NFL. You can't be playing like he has been these past couple of years, going both ways and whatnot. But so for me, IDP aside, it kind of scares me. If I think if anything, it'll be 60-40. He's got to be a heavier defensive presence in the NFL than offensive. But I've mentioned it, the jump in production going in this year, you know, getting the 15 touchdowns, having a crazy catch rate of 79%. Just really that was all it really took to get me excited about him. This is a good matchup, in my opinion, because these two guys are probably the top wide receivers
Yeah.
in this class, but then like Travis Hunter just happens to be better suited to play cornerback, so he
Mhm.
kind of loses out on that just because like T-Mac's not doing
Not
that
doing
at
that.
all.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy for me to pencil him in as the number one wide receiver in this head-to-head competition.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. If Hunter was a pure wide receiver, it would be hard for me to, I don't know, to decide who. I think I'm probably genuinely go Hunter.
Yeah,
Uh,
same.
but yeah, with the dual positioning, it's tough to really want to put him ahead. But he's so incredibly polished for a kid who spent most of his time on the defensive side and defensive meetings. Um, he has elite ball skills, which, you know, makes sense. Being a corner, he attacks the ball in the air, also makes sense. 63% contested catch rate for his career, only 4 drops his entire time in college, which is pretty crazy. He's also just quick and agile, second in yards after the catch for the wide receivers that are left in the tournament. I think he's really fast. We didn't get to see his 40, but I would imagine he's in the 4.4 to lower range. Um, but I think his superpower, you're going to hear me say that a lot here in the end of the tournament because I do think we're getting into such elite territory with some of these prospects that they all kind of have their own. But his is like his body control. He has like a ridiculous ability to bend around defenders and offensive players when he's not playing defense, and just has great control along the sideline. The North Dakota State game, he had 3 touchdowns, and the third one made like no sense to me. He was being pushed down in the front corner of the end zone and just reached like around the defender while falling and still plucked the ball out of the air. And I just feel like his tape is filled with moments like that, where he's making these catches that seem uncatchable, but sometimes he or somehow he just bends and rotates in a way that he's able to pull the ball in and absolutely just pull something spectacular out of his ass. And so, but I'm with you with the dual positions. It's a little scary. Yeah, I'm all over it if he's in IDP, but for now, we'll go with the 3 seed Tet McMillan moving on and the 2 seed Travis Hunter staying in the Sweet 16. Which moves us down to the Midwest portion of the bracket where we've got our 1 seed Luther Burden the third going up against the 5 seed Quinshon Judkins, running back out of Ohio State. Another very tough matchup with this. Um, I think either one of these guys can go to the Elite Eight. I think I leaned Judkins. Where did you land on this?
Yeah, I think I do also lean Judkins. It's kind of a interesting conversation,
Yeah.
just because these guys are both like lower production.
Uh,
for their position on the season,
mhm.
but yet like technical ability, I guess I would say, or like fundamentals um for these guys are like probably these are my two favorite
Okay.
as far as like favorite running back to watch
Mm.
before before the play breaks and then the way Burden plays. I mean, I think he's incredible to watch. He's probably my favorite wideout in this class right now. But the production argues against
Yeah.
those preferences. So, but when it's all
Well,
said and done, I think that Judkins has a big potential to have like an unexpected surge
yeah.
going into the next level. That's kind of what I'm anticipating with him. Whereas
Hmm.
Luther Burden, I think it's going to be an awesome wideout, but if he never does better than being like the number two on a NFL team, that wouldn't overly surprise me. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at. As much as I love Burden, I think I'm going Judkins in this matchup.
Yeah, I kind of have a very similar note here at the end. I just like where I summed up my thoughts, where I just feel like Judkins is going to land in a position where he might start right away, whereas Burden is going to end up as the two, at least at first. But I do think his value is a lot higher than where people have him placed now. There's like this weird, I think it's just prospect fatigue where they are kind of out on Burden, and
Oh yeah.
I don't really get that. Yeah, the dip in production was staggering, but also his targets dropped from 120 to 81.
Mhm.
Um, and he had 1,200 yards and 9 scores in 2023. So if the production or if the targets go back up, I don't know what was going on with um Missouri this past
Yeah,
season.
I looked into it and I still couldn't figure it out, man. It's like the
So
same cook, same quarterback, same
coach,
coaching and
yeah. So I don't
it's
know,
weird.
and 5 games under 50 yards is not what you want to see from Burden. But I mean,
Right.
he's so fun to watch. He's super shifty. He's quick. He's a great playmaker after the catch. 1,400 of his 2,200 career yards are after the catch. He led the NFL or the college football this year with missed forced tackles for a wide receiver with 30. Um, just super electric. I mean, there's a Boston College touchdown I wanted to know. It's like a 20-yard touchdown. Runs this quick, subtle out route, catches the ball, immediately scores, spins back inside for the score. Like it's just stuff like that he does. Mississippi State, he had another amazing touchdown, about 25 yards. He runs his route and then sees the quarterback kind of breaking out to the right. So he immediately just turns upfield, starts throwing his hands up, and the ball is like thrown kind of, he's running this way, and the ball's kind of thrown like low and behind him, and he just like adjusts around the defender and still comes up with the catch. Like yeah, I think he's great. I think the wide receivers in this class are getting slept on because we just saw Malik Neighbors and BTJ and Roma Dunze and Marvin Harrison Jr., all these like super names. And maybe these prospects aren't quite to that level, at least right away. But I do think further down the road, people are going to be wondering why we were so out on these guys.
Yeah, there's plenty to go around this class.
Hmm.
It's kind of funny when, yeah, the talent level is so high, especially in the running back tight end room that,
Hmm.
right, these guys that should be, top five, maybe last year or the previous year are being, pretty much ignored
Yeah.
without, better explanation. But I think you nailed it, man. That Boston College game. I think that was I watched the game like multiple times because
Hmm.
mostly the run after the catch improvisation was
Hmm.
just like that game in particular for him was completely out of control. Yeah, that was his best game. 117 yards on 6 catches. That's the only game over 100 yards this past season, which is, part of the part of the
part of the
reason I could
problem.
see why people would miss out on him. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's really just like a swift guy, and the way he starts and stops to avoid tackles is awesome. He gains a lot of separation through his routes, just through his aggressive play style. And he's got like a high level of passion. I don't know, was it the A&M game where he had like that sweet touchdown that got called back on a penalty, and he's like tossing his helmet on the sideline, just a little flustered. So, he's definitely one of those guys kind of leaves it all out on the field, and you can
Yeah.
see that.
That
Um,
competitive fire for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it comes through the way he attacks the ball at the catch point, and a lot of jumping grabs and kind of just like dodging and darting. He's just kind of a feisty guy, but he has a lot of like strength and power in his approach to the game too. Um, but yeah, I mean, he was just kind of confusing guys out there with his route execution. It wasn't necessarily textbook. It was a lot of like improv, kind of just see what works, but get where you need to be and complete the play at the catch point. Just
Mhm.
kind of like, I don't know, atypical style that was kind of his own, and that gets you excited when you see a guy that goes out there and does something you don't see. You watch enough of these guys and you're like, oh, they're doing this good footwork, good release, nice route running, jump balls and all that. But when you see a guy where you're like, whoa, what the hell is he doing out
Yeah.
there, and it just looks crazy, you get pretty excited, and I think that's where I'm at with Burden.
Yeah, no, he is a completely electric player, and I feel like is getting slept on for some reason, but I guess we're sleeping on him a bit too, because Quinshon Judkins is moving on to the Elite Eight,
Yeah,
and
I guess
Luther
so. Yeah,
Burden is
maybe we are part of the problem here.
is staying in the Sweet 16. So final matchup of the Sweet 16 for the Midwest side, we've got Tyler Warren, the 3C tight end out of Penn State, against Jaylin Noel, 10 seed wide receiver out of Iowa State. And I think Jaylin Noel's run of upsets is over here, no?
Yeah, he's been rallying so
Yeah.
hard. Uh, the Ibuka thing. Who knows,
Yeah.
man? I'm sure we're gonna
Well,
have to watch that develop. But
yeah, we're gonna have to watch that. We're gonna have to watch Colson Loveland because that's
oh
another guy
yeah,
you
well,
beat.
flush it,
And
dude. I'm okay with being wrong about him.
yeah, I kind of agree with you. But speaking of why we like Noel so much, I mean, he's got great acceleration. He completely leaves people in the dust with his speed. I mean, we saw at the combine what he did, ended up with a 99th percentile burst score and a 9.7 RAS. Just dominated everything, had the high or the longest broad jump, and then the 40 time was excellent. And I think he runs through contact fairly well for a little guy, maybe not with the ball in his hand. We'll get into that in a minute. But you really just cannot give this kid space. Like, if you give him any space to operate, he's going to absolutely burn you. He will just take it to the house every single time. And if you are not covering him well, he's gone. Kansas, your hometown over there probably never wants to see this kid again.
No.
At Arrowhead, he burned a late hands touchdown, 30 yards, burned over and over and over again, just completely burned them. He had 21 yards per catch, 8 catches for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns against Kansas. Um, he's just he's just absolutely electric, and I think I one of your favorite phrases, I think the sky is the limit for this
Yeah,
kid,
yeah,
depending on where he goes.
yeah. The sky's definitely the limit on this guy. Um, and I think, yeah, a lot of it is that Kansas game was crazy. 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's his only multiple score game on the season and his
Mhm.
highest yardage total. Um, yeah, feisty as hell. But yeah, the thing with him is the success in like two extremely different approaches, where like the short area, he was a winner, and then the deep area, he was a winner.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Over half his yards were on targets over 20 yards downfield. So he's a burner. He's fast. Like you're saying, he blew us away at the combine. It was pretty impressive. But then he did everything he needed to do for short yardage or just like move the sticks type possession receiver and the way he was able to move in and out of both of those roles kind of seamlessly doesn't limit him, at all through the playbook. I think that kind of versatility is what gets me the most excited about him. To watch him play, he's just toying with guys. You know what I mean? You got to double knot your shoes when you're trying to cover this guy because he's going to trip you up some way. And it just jumped off the screen to me. And that's why he's been just rolling these big
Yeah.
names because you can't deny it. I mean, I get it, but it's 1,200 yard season. He produced in a major way, and both these Iowa State guys were a little lacking in the after the catch, but
Yeah.
they made up for it by just consistently dominating out there and catching pretty much all the balls going their way. So can't really hate on him.
Yeah, a team like you're saying is going to fall in love with his versatility and his explosiveness. So he's going to end up somewhere, hopefully nice, that needs a little offensive explosion. I think he's a surefire second round pick in the NFL draft, and depending on where he goes, maybe he sneaks into the back of the first round in your rookie
Oof,
draft. I will
oof.
say he does have some pretty glaring issues. He had 19 drops throughout college, which is a bit of an alarming number. Like that's a lot of drops
Yeah,
throughout college, and I think that his inconsistent hands are gonna maybe scare some teams away from him. And then as much as you cannot give him space, if you close that space, he's not likely to break a tackle.
right.
He only had 3 missed tackles forced this past season. That was 161st in this draft class.
Eesh.
Not even the whole of college football, just guys getting drafted this year, which is, not great. And that was on 80 receptions. He only forced 3 missed tackles, according to PFF. And 21 throughout his career, which I mean, we were just talking about Luther Burden, who had 30 this past season. So that's not a number you want to see. But outside of those two glaring issues, which we've seen people come into the NFL and fix their hands problems. So if that can happen for him, then holy shit. But I just want to throw those two out there. But yeah, unfortunately for him, he cannot beat Tyler Warren. So Tyler Warren is moving on to the Elite Eight, and Jaylin Noel is done upsetting folks. So moving on to the Atlantic bracket, we've got our number 1 seed, Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina, going up against the 5 seed, Bhayshul Tuten, running back out of Virginia Tech. And I'm going to just kind of let you take this one because I've been waiting on this for a while
Oh my
because
God.
you're not a big Tuten guy. So I want to see, it's crazy he made it this far, and I want to see what you have to say about him.
Okay, so first of all, I have to say, respect to Basul Tootin and his family, you know what I mean? None of this is very personal. I just I have a soft spot for remembering my past commitments that didn't work out. And he's got some things that are tickling my radar here to be weary of. And
Okay.
I can tell you exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and you stop me if you recognize where I'm going with this. But he had himself a nice year, right? We all can admit that he was pretty impressive.
Hmm.
He had 6.3 yards per carry and 1,150 yards, 15 touchdowns on uh, only 183 carries, which is incredible efficiency. He scored a touchdown for every 12.2 carries, which is, a lot better than Hamden. Just to put that in perspective, who was closer to the 18 range. We'll get into that at a later date. Um, but when you break into those touchdowns, you're seeing some crazy numbers here. An average yardage per touchdown for him was 25.7 yards. Only two of those touchdowns were inside the 5 yard line,
Okay.
and only eight, less than half, or just, yes, sorry, barely over half, No, less than half because I counted the receiving touchdowns, which there were two. So we're talking 17 total. Less than half, barely, were outside the or inside the red zone. So he's really hitting some big time home runs, 55 yarders, 58 yarders, 83 yarders, just big running, break off touchdowns. And it gave me big Izzy Abandikanda vibes,
Oh, okay.
and it hurt my heart to see it happen. Um, and so there's a plenty to love about the guy. I mean, the quickness is obvious, um, but I think that he can kind of get stood up a little bit. He runs up the middle, and the vision isn't necessarily ironclad. I think he misses a lot of open lanes. He's got some all right cutbacks, but a lot of times he moves too close to defenders for my liking. So I kind of just I get scared. I think he gets a little too eager
Mm,
and kind of just trust his burst and explosion more than like the necessary adjustments to avoid tacklers. But statistically, I mean, he was a badass of 4.4 yards after contact per attempt and 62 missed tackles forced on his limited work. I mean, over half of his yards were on breakaway runs. Obviously, that goes with a 25-yard average for your touchdowns, but um, I don't know. Then I see, hey, he's only got 81 receiving yards. Maybe that's a bad thing. But then if you go back to 2024, he had a respectable showing in the receiving game. So it's just something throwing me off about this guy. I want to like him. I just feel like he's one of those college guys that I get excited about, and then I dig deep into the infatuation, and then I find out that it just doesn't translate, and I've got that fear, so I can't hardly justify it. It's just a feeling I've got for him. So
gotcha. No, I mean I hear what you're saying. That's quite a bit of long touchdowns, and that doesn't usually translate over to the NFL, you know.
and not
Um,
without the balance of the short power touchdowns too.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just throw out some things that I did like about him. I mean, he had 6 games over 100 yards rushing this season, which was pretty good. And you kind of hinted at it, the only 81 yards through the air this season, but if you look at his whole career, he had 865 total receiving yards. So all three of his other seasons, he was great. It's just this one year for whatever reason. Um, he tore up Boston College. They're never going to want to see him again. 264 yards and 3 scores, and another through the air. So just absolutely crushed them this year. Rutgers, he had another three
Yeah.
touchdown performance. I thought he had great vision in that game specifically and good contact balance. It seemed like every single one of his runs, he was shedding tackles, which got me looking at his like missed tackles numbers. And he has 218 forced missed tackles throughout his career, 62 this past season. And he was only below 4 yards after contact per attempt, which was only below that number once, and that was in 2023, and he was at 3.74. So like consistently showed that he could brush off contact. And the reason like I'm not as scared about him sometimes when I think about I still think he's in that second tier or maybe third tier of running backs, maybe fourth if you really want to get crazy and put Jeanty in his own tier, which does
I
make
think we
sense.
should. That's
Yeah.
justified.
So then you got like Jeanty, and then you've got like Hampton, Henderson, Judkins, Johnson, kind of in a tier, and then maybe there's another tier, and then kind of Tuten is in that fourth one, or he's in the bottom of the third one. Whatever. We can do an episode on that. But
We should. I'll give him bottom of the third one.
okay, gotcha. But he has a 97th percentile burst score, which is awesome, and a 9.3 RAS, which I like that. I do think he has two pretty hefty issues that could not help him with coaches. 9 fumbles over the
Yeah.
past 2 seasons. Against Rutgers, he had like an incredible run where he was breaking tackles and then he just like coughed the ball out at the end, and it was heartbreaking. And he's not
Mhm.
very great in pass protection. So I think those two things could like limit him as far as getting on the field at least early. But I do like him, and I'm intrigued to see where he goes. But definitely not enough to beat Hampton. So Omarion Hampton moving on to the Elite Eight, and Bhayshul Tuten staying put. Next up, we got Xavier Restrepo, wide receiver out of Miami, going up against Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. And I think this is our lone quarterback into the Elite Eight. Maybe? No?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Restrepo just kind of should never really made it this far, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
he's had a bit of an easy road through this tournament, but I do think he loses to his teammate here.
yeah, was he on the Monongai route
Yeah,
or
he hit
whatever?
Monongai, and then oh, there was somebody. I'd have to pull it up. If you want to start talking about him, I can try and pull it up.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the red flags here were obviously the high-end athleticism kind of doesn't exist for him. But I thought he's a really slippery guy. Another one of those passionate, put it all out on the field kind of guys. I thought it was cute how they just kept him in motion like all the time.
Hmm.
Because if you're already running when the ball is snapped, then you can overcome that speed disadvantage. But yeah, I don't know. The TD numbers for him were pretty incredible. He had, let's see, 11 scores, which was pretty decent in this class. I think he was third, tied for third on the scores. So the production, I mean, it was pretty awesome this year, over 1,100 yards. He's coming off of pretty good season previous to this. It was 1,100 yards, only six scores in 2023. So he made a pretty big leap there, as well as his yards per reception up from about 13 to 16 and a half. So it's just kind of a weird situation for
Hmm.
him. I mean, he was top. I just don't think he's going to be even a day two pick, kind of
Oh,
with some of
okay.
those speed disadvantages.
Hmm.
Um, but you can tell me, man, if I'm crazy, because it all looked good on the film, but he falls, and I don't know. We keep seeing it's like there's these guys that are college good, but not NFL good.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's one of those guys that just found a way to have success.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's kind of a fragile situation, if you ask me.
I could see that. I mean, fourth round seems about right for him. Maybe third round if somebody really likes him. He had to go up against Montrell Johnson and then Monangai. So that's how he
So
got to the Sweet
rough.
16. So not the stiffest of competition. But I hear you. The abysmal speed, score, and the 40 time really, really hurts him and keeps him from being like an elite prospect. But I will say that like that's not how he won in college. Like his instincts for getting open and separating are really sound. I mean, PFF has him in the 85th percentile in separation versus single coverage, the 93rd percentile in open target percentage, and the 97th percentile in receiving grade versus single coverage. So like he's just able to use his route running skills and use his ability, his quick feet to get open. And he's a QB safety valve with strong hands, only 9 drops in 5 seasons in Miami. He's seemingly always open. And that's just it. Quick moves, not fast moves, but quick moves.
Yeah.
Nice route running skills, back to back 1,000 yard seasons, and he's consistent. And being that safety valve for a quarterback has its advantages. Now, it does clearly cap his ceiling at a wide receiver two or maybe even a three, like a three slot guy, but he could be a good one who gives you some decent weeks. His value is definitely higher in PPR leagues. 5 games this
Sure.
season with 7 or more receptions. And that's kind of where he lives. His lack of explosiveness definitely hampers him from being like an elite guy, but there could be some weeks where he has 7 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown, you know, which isn't world breaking or whatever. And maybe he never can in the NFL, but just trying to throw an optimistic thing out there for him.
Yes.
But yeah, the lack of explosiveness and the lack of speed is definitely going to hamper him. at the next level from being an elite prospect or even like a consistent presence on your fantasy team.
I hope he has success. I really do think he was leaning on physicality and determination, which are like things that seasoned, NFL defenders can
Don't care about.
squash real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair.
but
No, I
now
hear
I'm
you.
cheering for him, no doubt.
Well, hopefully he can do something. But for now, Cam Ward moving on, and Xavier Restrepo, you are Dunzo. No more easy road for you. All right, so on to our last two matchups of this episode.
Okay.
We've got South bracket number 1 seed Dylan Sampson, running back out of Tennessee, going up against the 5 seed Jack Bech, wide receiver out of TCU. I don't know, man. What do you think?
For me, this was tough. These guys both they like represent um you know, the higher C squad, like they're like both C squad captains for their
Mhm.
position. I have to go probably with Sampson.
Okay.
I think that the NFL is probably going to go that route in the draft, and I think the
Yeah.
fantasy owners are probably going that route too. I don't know. What you got? You want to
Uh,
fight, man? You want to fight?
I have Besh. I
Okay.
like Besh. I think he's more of a B squad player
Okay.
than a C squad.
Then bring it, dude. I'm with you. This is like I'm saying, these guys are toe to toe, and so if you
I,
know which way the wind blows, I'm with you.
I feel like Besh has what a lot of coaches are looking for. He's got good size and he's decently explosive, not crazy explosive, but I feel like he's a wide receiver too in the NFL. Only 4 drops in 4 years of college. Travis Hunter at the same rate, 61% contested catch rate. And he just is physical. He fights for the ball. He always um he's got strong routes and strong hands, great at coming for the ball, back for the ball. He has really good awareness. He out targeted Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. in 2021. Now, he's not those players, but you have to be a competitive hoss that the coach loves to be able to get targets over those guys even early in their career. And I just think coaches, teammates, fans are all going to love Besh. He I think he could be a QB's best friend. He's a big body. He can kind of like box people out. His ceiling may be a high end too, but we've seen guys thrive in that role. And he's strong. He runs through people. He's got a nasty stiff arm. Against Sanford, he like threw a guy at the ground, and it was really fun to watch. And he just doesn't let contact bother him. Like he had a touchdown versus Kansas where 2 guys were like on top of him, and he had to catch the ball in like a tight little window, and he did it. He's not the most explosive athlete, but he's good a lot. He's good enough. And yeah, he's only had 1 year of like elite production, but I don't know. I just like him a lot. Whereas Sampson, I
Well,
like.
so let's just let Besh win then, right?
Are you? Well, I don't. I we can fight. Why?
Oh
Why do
no,
you
I
not
don't.
want Besh?
Um, I just think that Samson's touchdown production and efficiency was pretty out of this world. But
I mean, that's fair. That is
my
fair.
opening notes for Samson is I was quite disappointed considering the hype
Yeah.
when I got to the film. So I think, yeah, Besh. Like I said, man, I think these guys are both like pretty similar as far as their tier amongst their position, but
Uh,
like you're saying, there's multiple wide receivers on the field at a time. So statistically, his opportunities are going to be more available than what Sampson gets
yeah.
because there's probably not a world where he's a day one starter where Besh could line up, first snap of the season and stay there, especially with the offseason I assume he's going to have.
Yeah.
So.
I do think he ends up being like a late second round pick too, whereas I think Samson might be a fourth.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's the running
So
back world. I mean, he's probably seventh at best in this
yeah,
class. So,
somewhere around there.
okay. So yeah, I think we'll green light Besh and we can talk about the things that we do and do not like about Mr. Dylan Sampson.
Okay. Yeah. I kind of blew my load a little bit there on Besh, so next
I
week's
was trying, I
episode
didn't know
might
how
be a
to
lay.
stop you. I got a load for him.
I got rolling, but as far as Sampson goes, I think he's solid. He has good vision, he has good patience, and he has good instincts. But RS 6.6, 66th percentile burst score, so not a groundbreaking athlete. We saw his patience in the floor game in like a weird, kind of more rare situation. A lot of times patience you see behind the line of scrimmage. This one he like took off through a hole and was following a blocker and then like slowed down like 10 or 15 yards after the line of scrimmage to kind of see where that blocker was going to go and then took off again. Really liked that. Um he he's smooth and he weaves in and out of blockers with ease. He didn't have a ton of receiving work, 342 yards total. But he looks like he can handle that work, in my opinion. He didn't look bad. They just didn't use him that much. And he had 74 missed tackles, which was
Yeah.
like right under Omarion Hampton this season. Landing spots could be huge for these guys. I feel like Sampson's a guy that lands in a RBBC, a committee role. But I do think like the Harvey Tuten Sampson grouping, because I kind of have all those guys. Maybe
Yeah.
Harvey's better, and then like Tuten and Sampson maybe fighting for that secondary spot. But the landing spot's going to be tremendously important for those three guys. So whoever ends up with the better one might be moving up stock wise. But yeah, I just kind of thought Sampson, I'm with you, like the hype on him was for real in a class that is for real, and then he just kind of left me wanting.
Yeah, and he has a breakaway yard percentage of 30%. That's kind of like a really, really bad number
Mm-hmm.
with only 17 carries of 15 plus. That's an extremely low number on 258 attempts. Obviously disappointing with the yards after contact, 3.6 per attempt, but then he's missing I forced some missed tackles, so maybe like he's just not getting contacted um as much because his yards per carry were 5.8. But like you're
Good.
saying, I liked what you were saying about his run style. I kind of said it in a different way, so I'm just gonna go and jump in on it. But I like how he bolts up the middle and flashes speed on the takeoff, and he can muscle through contact, but he makes measured cutbacks. I think he gets like small or
Mhm.
large with his cutbacks in whatever necessary way, but it's like efficient and he doesn't waste energy. Like if he only needs a little move, he makes a little move. If he needs a big move, he takes a big move, and it's whatever it needs to be in that moment. And then he breaks up field and it gets really exciting. It's like once he breaks through the congestion of the line, he goes like full gas. He stops making those like lateral adjustments or whatever and just goes balls to the wall. He did end up getting 22 touchdowns. And I have this rate I like. It's like the number of attempts per touchdown. And his was 11.7, which is a really good number. It's the best in the tournament. Tuten was at 12.2, and Ashton Jeanty is at 12.9. So, he's a full attempt ahead of those guys
Yeah.
when it comes to scoring frequency. So I liked a lot about him, but like it really was statistically disappointing for the most part outside of missed tackles for us and the touchdowns. And like I was saying, I was really expecting more
Yeah.
when I turned on the film. Do like the adjustments, but I don't know if he has power. Um, and I guess I'm not quite sure that yeah, he didn't run the 40, so I don't really know on the speed thing.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Definitely expected more, but he's the instincts is really what it is to me
Yeah.
that kind of stands out for him is he's a smart running back, which I do like those guys. And if he ends up somewhere where he could end up starting, I'll take a chance on him. But I just
That
think,
seems supplemental.
yeah, exactly. Definitely. I think he's just kind of one of the best pieces you could add to your committee, but that's not what we're looking for, especially not in the Elite Eight. So Jack Bech moving on to the Elite Eight and Dylan Sampson, number one seed going down. So our final matchup of the Sweet 16 is the holy God 14 seed Jaxson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss, going up against the 2 seed Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. And does Jaxson Dart have another huge upset? No, he doesn't.
No, not today, buddy. You're
Uh,
getting waxed.
I do think he's an interesting prospect. I am fairly worried that he's kind of just being uplifted by a bad quarterback class and everyone's searching for a quarterback that can help them in this draft. If he came out last year, I think it's super safe to say that he would have been behind every single one of the quarterbacks that went in the first round by a large margin. And I didn't even like Bo Nix that much,
Yeah,
which
well,
egg on my face.
I
But
mean, statistically, Bo Nix was best quarterback in the class, but it's all good now. It
yeah, I guess
doesn't
I'm
matter
just an
anymore.
idiot. But I will say Dart has underrated rushing ability. He averaged over 600 yards the past 3 seasons on the ground. I do think he throws with confidence and poise, which I like. I think his arm strength is lacking for an NFL quarterback. There's not a lot of zip on the ball. It's a lot of lofty balls, which I don't really like. Um, but he's another quarterback that's not afraid to take hits. He's
Yeah.
not afraid to step up in the pocket. He has a nice ability to escape the pocket when he needs to,
Yep.
which speaks again to his legs. Um, and you know, Dart did lead the 20. Can you hear that train?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. He did lead all quarterbacks
Turn
in
my
the
shit up here.
25 draft class in yards per attempt with 10.7. Which again speaks to his confidence. He pushes the ball downfield. I think he has the tools to intrigue teams as a prospect, but his ceiling looks super well defined. But again, I thought Bo Nix's ceiling was super well defined, and his ceiling looks pretty good right now. I don't know what else to really say about Dart. Safe with the ball, pushes it downfield still, but he's safe. 2.7 turnover worthy play percentage through PFF. And even when the pass is down the field, it's like where the wide receiver can catch it, but not the defender, which I do like. But yeah, I just not enough there, and I think he's going to end up being like, I don't know, Kenny Pickett.
Yes. Yes.
Kenny Pickett with wheels.
Yes, he definitely. I'll just say a couple points, but plus runner, all caps, bold. Um, just like well rehearsed and extremely calm, which is kind of cool. But yeah, he's like, I mean, he just benefited so much from Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders not doing anything at the combine
Mm-hmm.
that he just like filled this huge vacuum and like the clamoring, NFL, like this is it, quarterback. Like everyone, if you don't have a quarterback, you're willing to kill to get one, and then it's like, oh, we also got to sell newspapers, for a couple months here. So I think it's like everyone, they didn't know Will Levis is going to be a top 5 drafted quarterback, and then he fell in the second round. And I think we could see, a Jaxson Dart filler, media darling type situation where you're not going to pass up on some of these, defensive players. You could be getting in the back end of the first round to take Jaxson Dart. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
So we're looking at early second round, I think is the best. There's no way Pittsburgh takes him. Like that's
You
the
wouldn't
whole.
think.
But I don't know. I guess if I get another Aaron Rodgers news tweet from the sleeper app, I'm gonna have to uninstall it. So that's pretty much a given. But yeah, he's got nothing on Matthew Golden. Duh.
Nah, not at all. So the 2 seed Matthew Golden moving on, and the 14 seed Jaxson Dart staying put. So we have an Elite 8 of Ashton Jeanty versus Tet McMillian, Quinshon Judkins versus Tyler Warren, Omarion Hampton versus Cam Ward, and Jack Bech versus Matthew Golden. So yeah, there you have it. There's our Sweet 16. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here and hit you with the Elite 8 coming up. So until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
They tropical.
I took a lease out on